Good evening, my fellow troglodytes, Neanderthals, and hairy knuckle-dragging apes, cavemen, chicken littles, and boys crying wolf, everybody else in the red pill manosphere, and to all the good faithful family. Welcome to the Good Faith Podcast, where we maneuver around toxic debauchery, attempting to find harmony with our fellow man and dissect society's caustic degeneracy. If it's a pre-apocalyptic dystopia that you seek, then look no further, because here it is. The great American empire is going to hell in a handbasket, and quickly at that. I'm your host, Ninjah Bullock. I understand you could have been a million other places, and the time is the most precious commodity any of us have. So from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to share my gratitude with all of you. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. Due to the sensitive nature of some of our topics, we hope you will shield youngins from some of the vulgarity that may be spewed here. We got whoredom for your boredom. We're going to talk about smut, so keep the kids at bay. It must be noted that the views expressed by the panel are not necessarily the views of the Good Faith Podcast. We are no fiduciary. We assume no culpability of investment performance as a result of following our financial advice. Our simple aim is to entertain and inform. Anybody living in the greater Philadelphia area interested in making an appearance on our show can reach me in a DM on Facebook or Instagram at Christopher Bulick. See the Patreon link in the description if you'd like to make a campaign contribution to facilitate our meteoric rise.
Money, please.
Oh, no, there's no money.
Oh, my bad. No problem.
I ain't trying to screw you. You ain't giving me no money. What am I getting out of this?
Nothing.
So why do I have to lie?
In all seriousness, though, times are tough. Any proceeds we receive will be going towards avoiding eviction, keeping the lights on, medicating Clark with all of his health concerns, and feeding our gracious guests. Once again, if you feel you've been given value by us, it takes a little extra effort to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. This is your notification that the Good Faith Podcast is now available not only on YouTube, but Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Patreon, Amazon Music, Samsung Podcasts, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and RSS.com. We'll keep pushing out these episodes so long as our following stays growing. And the path to notoriety will be for our listeners to each spread the good word of the pod. If you have somebody in mind who would agree with our content, might be informed, if they want to ridicule us, send this link to your friends and family. All publicity is good publicity. Our objective is to have a balance between the red and the blue side of the political aisle. So if you have somebody in mind who enjoys listening to podcasts, please spread our channel. Now, the fragrance of the week is Cupid Hypnosis. Discover the allure of Hypnosis 2.0 for men. It's a sophisticated men's cologne designed to enhance your natural allure. This pheromone-infused fragrance comes in a sleek 1.7 fluid ounce bottle whose artistic design is as unique as the scent. And like I said, it's pheromone-infused, so this is like biochemical warfare when you're out on the dance floor. You just pop a little bit of that on and you're going to be every girl's favorite, smelling man. The candle of the week is Charming Farmhouse Southern Peach. Oh my God. I love the smell of peaches. I love the smell of peaches in the afternoon. And the shirt of the week is Climax. Slacks of the week, Calvin Klein. Hat of the week, Padres. Shoes of the week, Alfani. Guys, you know what I say. I say, look good, smell good, play good. And when you play good, they pay good. And you don't have to spend $1 million to look like $1 million. Now, without further ado, let me bring on my special guest of the episode. Hold on a sec. Yo, Chael.
What's up, Chris? How's it going?
How you doing, man?
Going well. Really excited to be in the podcast. You ready for Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah. I love Thanksgiving. It's probably my second favorite holiday. I'm fucking all about Christmas. Christmas is my favorite holiday, but yeah, I've already started playing the Christmas tunes. I already got the Christmas tree up. I'm in the holiday spirit for sure.
Hell yeah, same here. But the one and only thing is gonna be the Mariah Carey Christmas song, but it's all good.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. A lot of people hate that song. I can tolerate it, and And it's like even like it's not the best Christmas song by a long shot, but I can deal with it. You know, if that's the worst part about the holidays, I'm all right with it.
Fair, fair. But hey, finally we got to this point. It's been a long year, so
Yeah.
good to be having a break after a while.
So you live in is it Miami?
Yes, sir. I'm nearby Miami, so
Okay.
got access to South Florida from Fort Lauderdale to Miami. Sometimes hit up West Palm Beach at times, so it's a good ride down here.
Okay. All right. And can you so we can get to know you a little bit better? Can you tell me your name, your age, your occupation, and your highest level of education completed?
For sure. So my name's Chael 29 years old. Occupation, management consultant. So I primarily deal with a lot of IT audits, robotic process automation, cyber risk management work, all that good stuff. Highest level of education, grad school, undergrad, graduated with a degree in finance or finance, and grad school, Master of Science, Information Systems with a concentration in data science.
Oh wow. Okay. So you have a master's and a bachelor's?
Yes, sir.
What college?
The University of Florida. Go Gators.
Oh, nice. All right. That's where the Eagles GM Howie Roseman is from Florida.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, we're all about Tim Tebow down there. So.
Yo, did you see the
Adam Calvin Baldwin.
Yo.
What up?
What's up, Calvin? How you doing, bro? Did you see the Aaron Hernandez reenactment show on Amazon Prime?
Oh, I haven't, but I bet.
It's really, really good. Yeah, because that Florida Gators team was like a problem on and off the field. Like there was just nothing but criminals on the roster, and then it was all led by Tim Tebow, who was like a very devout Christian, and he was like just trying to keep it all together at the time.
Dude, it was insane. And believe it or not, there was actually at one point in time before Aaron Hernandez was arrested, there was a street named after him for all his successes and with Tim Tebow during winning the national championship. So it was pretty wild. Like moving forward when he got in trouble, where it's just like, well, we gotta remove the name from now on. So can't associate with him.
Yeah, that and the other question I wanted to ask you is, are you familiar at all with like Palantir?
Palantir, I've heard the name.
They're like in like tech security or something. I invest in them. I probably should know what the fuck they do. I don't as much as I should, but I think they're like one of the like the leading innovators in like artificial intelligence and like cybersecurity and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So, leading in AI, cybersecurity, I think they do offer some programs where if you have a lot of intellectual capabilities and talent, you can skip over the process of going to college and essentially, how do you call it, an apprenticeship with them, kind of like in the blue collar trades, where you just go in, become a mechanic, become an electrician. If you have a certain set of skills, intellectually specific to computer programming, AI, networking, etc., I think they can take you on and say, hey, if you want to be, I think what they call a Palantarian, you're more than welcome. And that, in and of itself, the title of that is enough for you to make wonders throughout your career. So,
that's interesting. I'll have to look into that. And what is your relationship status and longest duration of a relationship?
Longest duration of a relationship. So, relationship status, single. I would say it's been more of on and off kind of thing. So I've had, girlfriend here and there, but it was never necessarily like long term. It was just short term here and there.
Yeah.
I guess it's as tough as any guy you'll hear from one side of the globe to the next. Dating is quite a challenge, but I'm optimistic. I don't give up. So I just go in, have fun, make new friends, and connect with a lot of people.
Yeah, I think I talk about it in the description of this episode. Like, we live in a deregulated dating market now, and a lot of people say that it is like it adheres to the 80-20 rule, which is where 80% of the women are with 20% of the men. I think it's actually a lot more lopsided than that. I think it might be like 95 are with 5%, or maybe even like less than that. So I aspire to be a high value man. I understand that it's probably like a lifelong pursuit, but I aspire to make it into that top 5%, so that way I have access to all of the benefits that come with it.
No, I agree. It's just going out there, working hard. And it's funny, this kind of topic, even now, it's a little bit, not necessarily taboo, but at one point it was. But
At
with the
Marion
things going on right now,
J209Y
with
said,
talking.
"Hey guys, happy Friday."
Yo, what's up? Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's very much like that. So nowadays you have to essentially outperform into such a manner where you essentially have to be almost like a superhero to some sort of sense.
Yeah.
You not only have to have like a lot of intellectual capabilities or capacity, you have to be very strong, you have to be very fit. But I think the things that I could argue specifically is there's too much emphasis on things that you may not necessarily have control over, basically your physical appearance or your height.
Mm-hmm.
And that in and of itself can lend itself to be considerably unfair. So we said, like, we don't come, like, of course, everyone has their preferences, correct? But in a lot of cases, what I'm noticing is, and I have to phrase this correctly, there are just some people who demand a certain caliber or certain attributes from an individual, but at the same time, they may not necessarily carry similar traits that can equate that same value.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where there's an uneven balance if you were to place this from a market perspective, economically speaking.
Yeah. I love listening to like economists speak about dating, because I actually think like economists have the mindset to be like the best daters. Like one I can think of is Aaron Clarey, and another is he's not actually an economist, but like Orion Tarabin, the way that he speaks about these things is very, it's always got a very industrious and economical application to like the kind of things that he says. So, but yeah, like, and it's funny that you talk about, you almost need to be a superhero, because like, I think you do. Like, if your girl doesn't like look up to you and marvel at you, you're cooked. You know what I mean? Like, she could spend $1,000 to sit on Chris Brown's lap, and if that happens, like, you're cooked.
Yeah, and it's a lot of this is caused primarily through the hyper stimulation provided by social media itself. So if I were to be precise with the timeline, I'd say the beginning of the 1960s, that's where a lot of this traction, where you're more libertine per se when it comes towards relationship pursuits. And if I were to describe this visually, here's the 60s, the 70s is going pretty fast. Then comes the introduction of MySpace and Facebook in the early to mid 2000s, and that accelerates the graph even further. But I would say precisely the year where you started to see this chaotic shift in mindset where everything becomes more elaborate than it really seems, this almost hallucination. If I were to put it in a precise year, the year would have been 2014. So imagine you're here in the 60s, the 70s. It's accelerating much faster than the prior decades. Then you have the 2000s. It's going even faster. Then 2014 comes the software update. And then all of a sudden, boom, it just skyrockets. And everyone's just left to the dust. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, I'm sure it probably aligns with your timeline, but the smartphone was probably invented sometime around that time. Facebook was probably invented sometime around that time, and now, we went from having like speed dating in a coffee shop to now every human being on Earth has like a supercomputer in their pocket that is like just showing them like stimulus that's beyond what their brains can comprehend.
Precisely. And I think that has a lot of issues, and especially this is a very powerful device. I would almost consider this a weapon in the philosophical sense that if you provide this kind of material to a young and Asian developing mind, you're going to cause a lot of long-term harm. I firmly believe that these devices, honestly, shouldn't be illegal, but they should be kept up to the point of reason. And for a lot of people, especially adolescents, that won't be until the age of 16 or 17 years old. And the issues that we're seeing right now is there's a lot of interactions with these applications, and we're just starting to see the ramifications now, but give it a good period of time, and you're going to start to see a lot of disassociation, personality attributes where it's very difficult to interact with people. And what's interesting is, what's incredible is that with Gen Z, we have a stronger ability than prior generations to identify when a video is fake or generated by artificial intelligence, in contrast to older generations. However, the drawback or the trade-off to that is our social skills, our ability to communicate with other people has drastically plummeted as a result of our hyper interaction with social media, video games, and not getting in contact with people in the day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I forget exactly what the number is, but I think it's something like of Gen Z. I think it's like something like 40% of young Gen Z boys have never asked a woman out on a date in person in their entire life. And I mean, like I'm a big dweller on the on the hopelessness of our culture. That like the episode's called the historical rate of failure for all civilizations is 100%, and I really do think that like America is past its peak of being like a great empire. Our currency is declining. Our fitness is awful. Like I bet you atheism is at like an all-time high. There's zero spirituality in America, zero fitness in America. Like I said, our currency is being devalued, and the tip of the spear is the great sex recession, in that like we're not even reproducing at a rate of replacement to to continue growing as a society.
I totally agree. And over here, Catholics have my cross on me. And again, these are my opinions, not here trying to instill this. Is just, however you want to believe and however what your faith is, highly respect that. But yes, it's true. I truly believe that the West, especially the United States, needs to come to a firm foundation of religious foundation and belief, because that is, believe it or not, the bedrock to our society, to helping us maintain not just society itself, but family structures and just so much more to it. The bedrock to us creating fantastic inventions, even down towards the material, fantastic devices such as phones, etc., comes from having a strong culture, and through that strong culture comes strong family values, where we're able to raise the next generation with good morals and purpose, so that they can carry on that same discipline and build incredible things, whether it's material, spiritual, financial, you name it. And then from there, you can pass on those great works to your descendants to help to improve society moving forward. And because we sort of lost that, and now there's more of a priority towards the self, the individual, you're starting to see a decline in not just the ability to communicate with other people, but also in intellectual pursuits. Now there's more of a demand for things from an economic perspective, things that are arguably brain rot, short attention span, things that are ephemeral in nature that today it can be popular today, and the next day it can be worthless. And instead of talking about things that can be made of value for the future. So, like for example, do you know Mont Saint Michel in Normandy, France?
Hmm. I'm not familiar, but go on.
You should look this up. It's a beautiful castle in France.
Okay.
So it started off as a monastery up on a hill, and when you hear the story of how long it took to build essentially a fortress that's surrounded by a moat.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah. This is on Kareem.
yeah,
This is on Kareem's grid. It's like
yeah,
the coolest site ever. Yeah.
exactly. What makes that place so unique? Not only is it beautiful, what makes it so unique is that depending on the time of day, the tides will come in. So if it's on high tide, the water from the ocean will start to go in and create a moat surrounding the fortress. And when it's low tide, the water will start to recede, and you can walk out miles onto the sand. So it was an incredible experience. But when you're reading the history of that place, it was a group of men who were strong in their faith of Christianity, and they themselves knew that this project would take centuries to complete. Like this thing did not finish, at least like they started, let's say, if I were to be precise, I can't recall when. I'd say 1000 AD, around there. Let's say I think they started construction um around the time of El Cid, so that's around 1060 AD. I could be wrong. I'm not a historian, but it took several centuries to complete, and even the masons, the architects that were involved in developing Mont Saint Michel, they admitted to themselves, like, I will never see the glory of this finished and beautiful product, but I am doing this by the faith of God and my comrades to build this beautiful edifice so that future generations can appreciate it and they can venerate it through our hard work and our faith in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and it's like an ancient Chinese proverb, but the essence of generosity is planting seeds for trees that you will never get to experience the shade of. You know, like it's kind of like that. You know, doing something that's bigger than yourself, that's bigger than your life, even if you'll never see how beautiful it all turns out to be. Just, you know, being a contributing member of the human race and not just getting that next dopamine hit because it feels good.
Exactly. And I think that's what we're all bombarded with, just pure dopamine from social media and Instagram. And let me tell you, it hurts, kind of. It hurts. So.
All right, so you said your religious denomination. You said you're a Catholic.
Yes, sir.
And what is your what's your ethnic background?
Hispanic,
Okay.
Latino.
All right. And what else do I got on here? So, and we were talking about being superheroes. If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you choose?
Man, I was always, when I was growing up, a lot of people would say I look like Clark Kent, Superman. And for that reason, I never liked Superman.
What? Oh, man. Get off my show.
Oh, you love Superman?
Oh, yeah, I named my cat Clark.
No way.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh, man. No, it's I appreciate it, and I've grown to love Superman over the years. I especially like Henry Cavill's iteration.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to be honest, I like more the down-to-earth heroes. So it'd be like guys like Captain America, Iron Man, Batman. So if I were to choose a power, it'd have to be between those three, and I would not. I would be super stoked if I got that superhuman serum that Chris Evans took in Captain America. That would be pretty sick. Not gonna lie.
And if you could fight one human being on Earth You get into a fist fight. You don't have your super soldier serum. You're just normal Chael. You could fight a human on Earth, and if you win, you get their net worth. Who are you fighting?
Oh man, I've trained in boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and wrestling, but I don't think there's a professional fighter on Earth to be humble like that I can honestly beat. But I would love to be face to face with guys like because I love them. I love watching MMA, especially the golden era, 2015 to 2021, 2022.
At
Guys
Summer
like TJ
2013
Dillashaw,
said Mark Zuckerberg.
Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler. There's so many of them. If I were to say probably face to face with Conor, that'd be so fun.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Who the fuck is that guy, yeah? Get the fuck out of here.
Who the fuck is he? Who is that guy?
I got one belt on one shoulder, the other belt on the other shoulder, and it's gonna take a fucking army to get these two belts off of me. Two-way world champion. I run New York. Madison Square Garden. Man, I had this thing in my head. UFC 205. That was so fun.
You do a pretty good Mayweather impersonation.
That was McGregor.
Oh wait, that's what I meant to say. I'm a big Mayweather fan because like he was not the biggest, he was not the tallest, he didn't have the longest reach, he didn't have like the hardest punch, but he was like a very strategic boxer. He always made sure that like he always kept his guard up. It was like really difficult. Obviously, his record speaks for itself. It was really difficult to knock him out. Like he was just a very technically sound boxer. That's why I like him.
Yeah. In fact, in his early career, he was actually knocking people out. I think it was after his Olympic career. I think he was damaging his hands so much that him and his father actually had to essentially recalibrate or redo his entire strategy. And from there, it's just like, when we fight, it's all points, it's all technical. If you can get the knockout, perfect, but we're not going to aim for that. We're going to just go in and keep it sly, keep it cool, keep your hands in, because the primary purpose of that, and that you can see why he's so successful, was primarily for the fact that his hands took in so much damage to the point where if he punches just hard enough, it can break.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not speaking for him, but it was enough for it to cause a lot of pain, from what I can imagine.
Yeah, I definitely have like experience with like throwing a punch and not having good form, and I didn't break any bones, but like I definitely like mangled my fist, on somebody's head just punching the wrong way.
That's why you got to invest on some good hand wraps and a good glove, and then from there, when you punch, you got to make sure you're punching an accurate punching bag that's not too heavy. If you're there's different variations of punching bags that you can hit. The heavier the bag, I think you can throw wild punches, but you got to know what you're doing. One small technical miscalculation, and you can feel immediate like wrist pain, and it's not a fun time, especially if you're typing or writing for a living. So
yeah. So speaking more on faith, because this is the Good Faith podcast, we talk about a lot of faith. Do you and this is becoming very, it's quickly escalating and almost getting like out of hand in my opinion. Do you think that the religion of Islam is compatible with Western culture?
So I have to be very, very careful on this one. Again, I still work, so I have a lot of good Muslim friends. But I would say this, is that whatever country you're in, you must respect the custom and faith and cultures that are prescribed to that essential nation. You come into the United States, believe it or not, yes, this is a Christian nation that was built and founded upon. In the Constitution, they may not have that much emphasis, well, depending on your interpretation, but yes, the United States is by itself a derivative of of European culture, and by that extension, Christianity. The same way I would go to Dubai and say they follow the tenets of Islam, then you respect the tenets of Islam.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you necessarily have to follow the creed or religion or culture, but whenever you're when you're coming in as a visitor in that host nation, then you must respect the laws and you must respect the customs.
Yeah, I think it says in the Bible, like, you must obey the law of the land. And yeah, like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to force religion down anyone's throat. And it does even say, like, we are supposed to have a separation between church and state. But like, like, do you think that I know you can't become president unless you're born in America, but I guess that's where it stops. Like, you can become a senator or a congressman or congresswoman. Is that how it works?
Believe it or not, and I guess we're using an extreme example here. Think of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He wasn't born in the United States. He was born in Austria, I believe.
Yeah.
And he became the governor of California.
Mm-hmm.
So to each their own to how they think that the structure of the United States government should be placed. But if you were to maintain, let's say, the actual tenets of what goes on here, then it is by the self-interest of the nation and those that they govern, the ones who lead the nation, being senators, House of Representatives, they should be born in the United States because they have a greater understanding of what goes on in the day-to-day aspects and lifestyle of what goes on in this nation, rather than someone coming in from an outside nation that's only been here for a year and they're already taking up political seats. I think that's arguably irresponsible, and that goes against the nation's creed and what it stands for. You're here for the people. You're not here servicing everyone. The same way in Latin America, Ecuador, they service Ecuador. In Brazil, they service Brazil. And it's their right because it's their countries. The same thing can go here in the United States. Americans should run the formal institutions of the United States, unless you've earned your way. If you immigrated here and you've earned your way through stellar position, and again, I'm using Schwarzenegger as an example because he's an extreme outlier, but through his fame, through his status, he was able to attain that privilege to run for governor and eventually win.
Yeah, I'm fine with including people and giving equity to people who earn it, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a person who has adopted our culture, and like, if you ask me, is Arnold Schwarzenegger like an American? Yes, like I get the feeling that he is genuinely interested in in staying here, in adopting our culture, in improving this country as best he can. Who I had in mind when I asked the question is guys like Mamdani and I think her name's like Ilhan Omar and stuff like that, and I see them making these like statements that just reek of like lacking patriotism, and with Ilhan Omar, I do believe she has like an 11,000% rate of return in the stock market, which is actually and she's only been here for I think like 8 years. So, and if you compare that to all the greatest hedge funds, if you compare that to Warren Buffett and Warren Buffett's best year, she's averaging better market returns than any non-politician who's ever existed. So like, I don't think that people like that should be able to come here to America, get placed in a position of like power and prestige, and then manipulate the system and like reap the benefits of all that stuff, like in a free market,
Well, of course, because you're coming in as a guest into this country, and you're essentially playing with a pool of revenues and funds
to their own national interest
that are essentially stored by the people that funded into this nation. So, again, no disrespect again. So, she's coming in as an immigrant, And from what that sounds, that kind of money, that to outperform that kind of market, from what it sounds like market manipulation and insider trading, to be honest with you. Because someone that does not have the background to understand that kind and still outperform, that kind of tells me there's a little bit of collusion. But again, I'm going to try to steer away from that too much. I'm not trying to make this too political. But yeah, you know, at the same time, but the truth is, you know, you come into this country and it shouldn't be that easy to attain a level of status or a level of prestige where you're actually leading the constituents of the country. But yet again, you've only just arrived here and you haven't even lived here for 10 years. Unless you've committed a great act or a great action, such as becoming a war hero, by that the extreme example, and you've gone to the point where you truly have faith in this nation and you're able to place your heart, your mind, your spirit, and blood for this nation and absolve all other commitments, but only to your country, then of course, then there's exceptions. But in this case, you know, what it does, it wreaks a lot of controversy in that. And of course, any person that loves their country should want someone to help their country, would want someone that take a leadership role that would help and raise the benevolent state of said nation, not someone that is only interested in their own self or their own interest. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
And I mean, I don't personally know the guy, but I do hear that like Mayor Mamdani never had a job in his entire life. I think and you have to use the air quotes, like public service was Mamdani's first job, and that's like, it just seems like he's like another guy that just is on easy street in America, you know, coming here and not necessarily seeking to improve our great nation, which I think is slowly falling into despair. You know, I think I think New York City is in for a very rude awakening if he is even able to get some of these platforms that he like campaigned on. If he's able to get some of those to go through, like the rent freezing, like we're gonna see tenement slums in New York City again.
And it's a frightening thing of what's going on over in New York City. I have a couple of friends, actually. My family, actually, I have a lot of family that lives there. They actually came to the city around the 60s. So it's quite some history. But I have some good friends over there, and they had to deal with a little bit of the crisis that's going on there with some of the illegals coming in, making threats, robbery. From what was safe neighborhoods now is under constant fear that someone can just knock on your door, rob, or get you on gunpoint, and it's kind of a tragic situation. And if we were to place the historical context of what's going on, may I ask, how old are you, Chris?
I'm 34 and a half.
34 and a half? Okay, so you're more of a millennial. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but we're still young enough to understand that there is some sort of divide, or there's some sort of uneasy temperament that's going on with the overall zeitgeist of what's going the political culture nowadays. So what's going on now is you have to understand why those political influences have occurred, especially in a city like New York. So again, not my opinion, I'm just referencing historical concepts and trying to essentially understand what happened during that time period and relating it to what's going on today. So a proper example of what may have happened essentially is, the events that happened prior to the start of the French Revolution. So if you recall what's going on in New York City, a lot of the people that may have voted in for Mamdani, believe it or not, were actually individuals that maybe they're not so affluent, but they have enough money.
Mm-hmm.
And their frustration is that the salaries that they have today, what could have afforded them a lot of material good or a lot of prestige 20 years ago is not giving them the same return on investment as it would today, as in the value of the currency has essentially degraded. And you would say, well, that's preposterous. You would think that they would have an understanding of what's going on, Well, sure, but you have to take this from a psychological perspective. A lot of those guys, I guess the term is a yuppie or something. It's fine. But you're working in Wall Street, right? So all these young kids our age, they're going in, and a lot of the times they're comparing themselves not to just their peers, but to the hyper successful investment bankers, the hyper successful hedge fund managers, the hyper successful quants, or the owners in private equity. So they're oftentimes comparing their day-to-day lifestyle to these larger than life individuals that can afford all these great luxuries that we can only dream of. So right then and there adds a little bit of resentment and bottle up frustration. And now you include the issues of inflation, the debasing of the currency, all this stuff, where it's becoming harder and harder and harder to afford just to even have a good place to live. And that right there will create a psychological effect. And people say, well, I have nothing to lose. So why not vote in for the guy that's going to create the most chaos?
Yeah.
I may not align with him politically, but again, I have nothing to lose. So why not?
It's
and I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. With my hands, I don't agree with it. But at the same time, I can understand with what's going on. And it's grievous, unfortunately. So
I can understand it too. And I mean, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, whether it's Kamala, whether it's Obama, people Trump's entire platform was "Make America Great Again," and disrupting the status quo is always what what people vote for, what politicians run on. Like they want to go back to the old ways, and I mean that's not happening. The toothpaste doesn't go back into the tube. Ever since Nixon took us off the gold standard in, I think it was 69 or 70, our money has been just going downhill, and now the only way that you can ever get out from under that is to out earn inflation, and it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah, and a lot of these things, these situations, and I kind of realize when you read back in history, they kind of dilute the facts, where these kind of situations where it's a battle between rich and poor. And again, when you look back to histories with, let's say with 1789 in Paris, France, when there was division between the first and third estate, a lot of people would imagine the third estate were poverty-stricken people. No, absolutely not. That's not the case at all. In fact, the third estate was composed primarily of doctors, lawyers, architects, engineers, bankers, who were frustrated with the system, and they were unable to elevate their status because it was just stagnant. And again, it caused a lot of heartache and would eventually culminate into something very, very serious afterwards. And again, I pray to God nothing, all this is, everything's fine. We'll always find a solution. And I think that's why it's good that we have a conversation on this and communicate that, hey, the more that you start to bottle these things up, the more intense it can become, instead of just letting it out in the open, having a genuine conversation about it. That way you can, over time, improve the situation rather than letting it centered in and get it festered and boil into something that you can never put back, as you described earlier. You're basically opening up Pandora's box. So yeah, those are my 2 cents on that particular situation. But yeah, I mean, it's not fun what's going on in New York, but it is what it is.
What's one political or social issue that you think is critical for the future of fintech or finance technology?
If I were to say, there should be a little bit I think there's should be some governance with regards towards the maintenance of AI, artificial intelligence. And again, I use artificial intelligence all the time when it comes towards research, uh, programming. A lot of the guys, they would consider that vibe coding and all this different stuff. But if I were to make the precise argument regarding that, I'd say that there needs to be formal regulations on how we maintain AI, especially with regards towards looking into the future, where you're dealing with artificial intelligence that can become self-aware and it can take over. And these conversations are happening right now as we speak. Even in the micro aspect, some people are discussing the aspect of bringing in universal basic income and that sort of jazz. Again, to each their own, whatever they think. But I do believe that there needs to be a strong risk management framework to help maintain artificial intelligence and not to not to allow it to go awry, and to ensure that it works for the best interest of humanity rather than becoming self-servant and causing trouble down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest existential threats with AI and everything just everything is we're gonna become obsolete unless you have a highly specific skill set, like you're able to climb up 1,000 feet into the air and change a light bulb, or if you're able to if you have the steady hands to go into a brain and like rewire a person's brain with a scalpel, or like a heart surgeon or stuff like that. Or on the other end, if you are a great plumber, or you're a great welder, or you're a great a landscaper or something like that. I think if you're on either side of the spectrum, I think your job is going to be safe. But if you're just a regular person, like you're hopeless. And I think the CEO of LinkedIn said that by 2000, and I think he gave us like 5 years. He said by 2030, like most people are not going to have jobs. We're going to need to have universal income because people are not going to have a job.
Well, I still would like to maintain optimism in the future, but yes, AI is a concern that can potentially create that. However, I'd like to also serve the other argument behind it is I do believe that we are in some sort of an AI bubble, so that there's a lot of pending interest with artificial intelligence, where I think we're just hyperinflating it. Is it here to stay? Of course, we're going to have it. But I think what you're seeing now is that there's so many variations, like even just to the basic tools that are out there, like let's say CapCut, they have their own variation of artificial intelligence where you can adjust your video editing skills. 11 Labs, where you can essentially change how your voice sounds. Canva, just these basic creative tools with artificial intelligence. Or you're going to take it a step further with Claude, and I think Claude is the best one when it comes to dealing with software development, or Perplexity, Grok, ChatGPT, Nano Banana with Google. There's going to be so many of these things, and I'm pretty sure there's also how do you call it? There's an L1. There's a lot of L2s within possibly the Ethereum environment that are AI based. And you got to be careful with those because they can essentially be a rug pull. Essentially, there's a lot of abuse with the term of AI, where there is credible evidence where people can argue that yes, there is a bubble behind artificial intelligence. So we can't hype it up too much, but at the same time, it's here to stay. And the general concerns that we need to be aware of is, can this thing become self-aware? How much can it take over a certain section or industry? Depending on whether it's financial services, tech, hospitality, etc., and how much can we let it take over before we start adding the brakes, which is proper regulation, risk control frameworks, and risk management to help maintain and put at bay before it starts to mess everything up. per se.
Are there any specific tickers that you choose to stay away from, like in the AI and microchip space? Like, I'll just give you some there's Micron, Nvidia, AMD, Broadcom, Google. Are any of those less appetizing to you?
Well, again, I'm not here to invest, and I haven't invested in quite some time, so I wouldn't be for sure to tell you the accurate information. But the way I'd say it is that, and this is what I might hear from a lot of the financial investors in these big name articles like the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, they say is that, yes, this technology is important, but a lot of the issues, like, let's say, for example, you're dealing with, there are factories out there that are developing graphical processing units, or GPUs. And the thing is that, yes, those GPUs are important. They can easily be obsolete after a single year because the next iteration or the next variation of that same GPU has come out, increasing graphics, increasing a lot of the configurations, components that may have been missing in prior iterations. So the issue is it's inflating. It's like, you can't have a constant iteration or a constant chip over time where it's just going to cause complete havoc. So on that note, I can't give you too much investment advice precisely just for legally binding agreements. So, but if you were to open up, like, let's say, Perplexity and just ask it genuine questions, and you read articles in the Wall Street Journal, you would have pretty good indicators of what's going on and have an idea. And if you immerse yourself in that world, you'll have a better understanding of, or better intuition on how to appropriately invest. But if you're just out of the blue, don't know what to do, then the easiest, safest bet is investing in the S&P 500.
So
our good friend always likes to recommend.
I'm going to use that as a segue, actually, to talk about, guys. This is complicated stuff. Sometimes, we don't all have the time to just peruse, Forbes magazine or the Wall Street Journal, or be glued to our phone watching Bloomberg, business TV all day long. Sometimes it's actually just simpler to give your money to a trusted advisor who can steer it and steward it in a responsible way. So let me talk about a guy who I personally trust, and that is, he's a top dog in the wealth advisory space, Joe Ventura at Eden Advisory Services. Joe's been in the investment business for over 40 years. That's 4 decades of helping everyday people, whether they be teachers or entrepreneurs or retirees. He's helping them build their path to financial independence. Whether you've got $5,000 or $5 million, Joe and his team treat every client like a millionaire. Eden Advisory Services is a registered investment advisor headquartered in New York, but they work with clients across the country. They clear all their investment transactions through Charles Schwab, a name that millions trust. From basic budgeting and credit repair to comprehensive wealth management and estate planning, even financial, legal, and insurance strategies, Eden Advisory Services is your one-stop financial partner. Joe Ventura is more than just an advisor. He's your financial guy, all right? Hundreds of people have come to know and trust Joe Ventura's advice with millions of dollars under management. So if you're ready to take that next step, whether it's fixing your credit, planning for retirement, or leaving something behind for your loved ones, start with good faith and let Eden Advisory Services guide the way. Visit EdenASC.com to schedule your free consultation. Eden Advisory Services, LLC is a registered investment advisor in the state of New York. Registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Eden Advisory Services, LLC and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. This advertisement is for informational purposes only and does not constitute a recommendation or offer to buy or sell any securities. Would you like to continue on your financial path in good faith? Then contact Joe Ventura at Eden Advisory Services, investing in people, not just portfolios. So, All right, I'm back with you. And yeah, I've had my blunders. I've made many financial mistakes. So I split my net worth up in like kind of in thirds. I have like a third of my net worth in my Roth IRA, a third of my net worth in my speculative investing account, and then I gave Joe Ventura like a third of my net worth for him to be like super conservative and safe with it, so that I'm still expecting good growth on that.
Gotcha. No, that's fine. It's just depending on how much risk and equity you're willing to take. Well, how much of a risk taker you are based on your investments
I'm like
and how you want it.
I'm a huge risk taker. I'm a gambler by nature, but like I'm not a good risk taker. So, and that brings me to our next point. Like, what do you think is a habit or a vice that's like that can be like super destructive to people?
I think what it comes down to is your ability to control impulse, your ability to maintain impulse control. And if you have a hard time maintaining your impulses, then you're going to have a hard time essentially just navigating through life. So I think that humans, we become very obsessed with things. And the way to tweak that is try to find healthy obsessions, such as going out, working on your body, working on your hobbies, working on your business, your career, things that are going to genuinely improve your lifestyle. So a lot of the issues that people come up with is they don't have these outlets in their life, so they often fall back on vices such as drinking, smoking, smoking. There's, how do I say it?
Beating their meat.
Sure, that, and plenty others. So, and a lot of that time is just a lack of impulse control that may have happened when they were very young. They were probably exposed to it a lot, or they were having a lot of things or some sort of trauma, and that create a reaction in them and force them to essentially be addicted to said substance or to said action. And a lot of the ways, at least, again, I'm not a licensed therapist or whatnot, so, but from what I hear is one solution that what I've heard is if you can replace that obsession with something else, with a greater, healthier impulse. Mm-hmm. So let's say you have a high impulse and it's difficult to control your impulse, then find a substitute mm-hmm. from which your impulse can latch onto that is healthier. So there was some guys who were special forces, fought in the United States military, and they were struggling with a lot of issues with PTSD. And one of the many outlets that they took on was martial arts, specifically boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling. And they started to merge those arts together and compete in MMA. And that right there, just having that outlet was enough for them to set aside or diminish, not necessarily eliminate, but diminish a lot of the painful symptoms that came along with PTSD. So if you're dealing with drug abuse or alcohol abuse, it'd be to your best interest to find another hobby that can overtake that same impulse and get rid of it altogether and give you a brand new obsession that you know can help you improve day by day.
Yeah, that's good advice. And I about 4 years ago, I was a pretty hopeless alcoholic, unemployed, no responsibility, unaccountable for my entire life. And I was just smoking and drinking and getting high and getting drunk every single day. And then with the help of a lot of fellowship programs, with the help of a lot of recovery programs, and also slow, gradual, like you said, like replacement, replacing drinking alcohol with drinking coffee, replacing getting high with, eating like a good, healthy, nutritious meal, replacing all of that stuff with going to the gym. I've found like fitness to be the ultimate habit, and it not only like produces like a dopamine response in your brain, or maybe not dopamine, but endorphins or something. Like, not only does it have a good physiological impact on you, it's also like it's very soothing, and it gives you the body that you would love to have. And so I definitely think that, and also investing. Like, instead of spending my hard-earned money on drugs and alcohol, I would buy I even buy like stocks of like cigarettes. I switched from smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day. Now I'm addicted to like these vapes, and people all say like they're just as bad for you. I don't believe it. Like, I don't believe they're just as bad for you. So it doesn't necessarily have to be as drastic as replacing a bad thing with a good thing. I think even just replacing a bad thing with a less bad thing can be like very good. Obviously, if you replace a bad thing with a good thing, the impact is going to be profound,
Exactly. It's taking one step at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So
Yep.
Again, some people can just jump in and eat the whole elephant. Hey, kudos to them. But a lot of people can't do that. So you have to take things day by day. And if you're able to trade for the bad habit for a lesser bad habit, the whole ultimate goal is for you to get rid of all bad habits, but you're slowly and surely progressing towards the end goal. And that's what counts.
So what are some disciplines, like, I don't want you to divulge any proprietary like financial tips of anything, but like, what are some personal finance disciplines that you have that you think like set you up for financial success in life?
Well, of course, since I'm young, I'm still taking risks because I know that this is the time period to do it. If I were to do it at a much older age, it's going to be much more difficult. Mm-hmm. So right now, I'm taking as much opportunity as I can to learn and grow self-development programs to further improve myself. But if I were to leave an ounce of wisdom, I would say there should be a methodology to which how you invest. So I guess like one best methodology is called the barbell method. So let's say you receive your income, right? 80% of that income, you want to use it for your savings and you want to hold back on it. So you just save that. Now you have 20% of your income where you can use for any form of discretionary or any form of spending that you like. Mainly use it for discretionary spending. But here's the catch. You split that 20% of cash. Further, once again, you reapply the 80-20 rule to that same 20% of cash. So that, okay, now you have this 20% of cash. 80% of that 20% is going to go to discretionary spending. You got to pay off my rent. You got to buy my food, pay off your auto insurance, etc. And then now you have this 20% over here that you can use with whatever you want. Now, let's say you want to use it for investments. Okay, fine. Let's say, for example, our generation is very much into crypto. We go into cryptocurrency. Okay, now you have this 20%. You break up that same 20% into 80% and 20%. Once again, you invest in high value assets, the 80%, the blue chips, or the blue chips crypto. And then from there, if you'd like, you take that 20% and invest into something risky. That way, if something bad or awry happens, you still have that 80% that can offset the risk that you invested because of that,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's called the barbell method. You can check it up online.
Okay. And so are you familiar with this new, like, we're still speaking about finance, but we're gonna move it over into the into the dating realm. Are you familiar with this soft life lifestyle?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know too much about it. Tell me more.
So I think it's like something like 74. They polled like, I don't know, a bunch of American women, and 74% of American women said that they are looking for a man to provide for them entirely. And I just think that it is, I think it's objectifying, you know, like if I said that I was, I mean, I could even say it, but I wouldn't say it out loud, and I would be called like a misogynist pig if I said it. I was just looking for a bang maid, you know, just some girl who's gonna cook me sandwiches and tidy up my place, and then, you know, she's just gonna have sex with me at any hour of the day. That would make me like, I would be objectifying her. But like, for a woman to just say that she's just looking for a financier, you know, a pay pig or a sugar daddy, that's like, nobody bats an eyelash about that.
Right, right. So what you're saying is that the soft life is essentially you're going out and just finding a suitor to take care of everything, your needs and whatnot, and you'll have to essentially put out and give value in exchange. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, like like, and honestly, like, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with gender roles and gendered expectations. I think that's going to lead to the best outcomes for like the man to be the breadwinner and for the woman to be the domesticator of the household. And I think when both parties can come together in a sense of good faith and cooperation, I think that it's going to be good. It just seems like we're at a point in time where modern men are paying the bill for the patriarchy that has existed for thousands of years, and we don't even get to enjoy its fruits, you know?
right, right. I see what you're saying. So a lot of this comes from the cultural imbalance that's going on right now, and I do believe that you know, it's very good that we have the same normal gender dynamics. It's supposed to create the family union. Especially when you maintain the religious basis of it, it helps out a lot. So that soft air, like I've heard it. I think I've heard it where guys they just say, you know what, I'm gonna let my girlfriend take care of me. She buys me dinner. She takes me out. She drives me out. And it's very strange, but at the same time, when you look at it, it's almost as if it's a reaction to the overreaction of high demands coming on, you know, to men saying you need to be 6 foot tall, make more than six figures, six-pack abs, you need to be a superhero, you have to achieve all these things. And you know, it's like, okay, fine, I will accomplish that, I promise you. But I need to have at least some sort of effort on your part. Will you show me love and respect when I come back home after a long day at work? Would you be able to give me that respect, and especially in front of my children, despite you may have a single frustration earlier in the day, you're not going to show it or embarrass me in front of my peers because of said reaction, that you would go ahead and say, okay, I love you, but let me take you when it's private, when no one's here, I'm gonna go in the room and say and express my frustration of what happened instead of just exploding in front of everyone and making a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the one thing that I see a lot, especially this was a lot during the 2010s. There was a lot of late 2010s, and now we're seeing in the 2020s. But there's a lot of abject. There's a lot of ridicule against the partner. They tend to assault them with words. They try to injure them. They try to hurt them. They try to destroy their ego, demean them on purpose to try to not maintain, but overtake a power dynamic. And that can cause a lot of frustration. And, I don't know what else to say about that, but it's certainly not ideal. And I definitely advise for anyone who, if you find a girl that behaves in such a manner, you should treat her as a friend, treat her, kindly, but not engage in a relationship.
So, yeah, and you mentioned, I think, probably my biggest red flag in a relationship, which would be disrespect. Like, yeah, it like I'm willing to lay down my life for a woman that I love. I'm willing to eat shit, like wake up at 6 in the morning and go out and do battle in the world. The least that I expect in return is, like a pleasant attitude, be my peace when I get home, like take care of the battles that need to be fought on the home front, and treat me with love and respect, like you said. But are there any other red flags that you try your best to avoid in a partner?
Well, the obvious one is addiction to Instagram, addiction to their phone, because that is the ultimate indicator that would essentially espouse the negative behaviors that we're discussing. A lot of this is primarily, at least in the current context, caused by Instagram or any social media for that matter. But you go in and they're often exposed to all these different videos, these different reels that can have a profound effect to the way they think. And that in turn can extrapolate feelings of grandeur, extrapolate feelings of I deserve more, when you don't understand the true context behind how that person may have earned it. Now, again, you see a lot of these streamers nowadays, they just go viral one day and all of a sudden become rich. That exists. But a lot of the times, you may not be aware of the kind of hard work that individual may have gone through in order to acquire said lifestyle. And money doesn't grow on trees. It's very, 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 very hard. And with the current environment where you're seeing that, a lot of men they cannot provide the same financial independence that they used to do in their past, like their fathers or grandfathers. It's becoming much more difficult to maintain an economically sound lifestyle, to not just for themselves, but to essentially attract the opposite sex, and then from there create a family. And we're seeing a lot of issues with that. And a lot of it has to do with social media and socioeconomic factors that are playing in and increasing this perception that of delusions of grandeur that were essentially unattainable just 50 years ago. And now it's even the average person thinks that they can easily get a Chris Hemsworth, Henry Cavill, Zoe Saldana. There has to be a point where it's like, this is becoming preposterous, and we have to get a little bit grounded in reality.
Yeah, and like I'll speak about like being like a streamer and a businessman. One thing that always grinds my gears is when I hear people criticize Trump and they all say like, oh, he filed for bankruptcy 8 times. And like, I got news for most of the people who say that. You've never started a business. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're criticizing a man who has started at least 8 businesses, and it is not a walk in the park. Like doing this takes 100% of your focus and 100% of your grit and determination. And but being a streamer is not a get rich quick scheme. And even to some of the people who I think are, like a little bit lacking in virtue, like the OnlyFans creators, like I still bet even those girls that are like, in their bedroom playing with themselves, like they're probably putting a lot of hard work into the setup. Like it all needs to be like, top notch. You can't just half-ass this and expect whole results.
Exactly, I agree, and it comes in anything in life. This year was a very incredibly challenging year for me. It's just been every single day, 4 to 5 hours of sleep every night, working 12 to 13 hours, and I'm proud of it. I'm grateful, but dang, is it exhausting. And I think a lot of people lose touch with that reality, especially sometimes young people who've grown up privileged, that it's they think it's so much easier, or that they see that the lifestyle is easily attainable, but they can't see the hard work, the years of struggle, the pain, the tears, all the shit you have to take in order to get to the position that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest frustration, it's like the underdog story. You see a lot of guys that struggle from the bottom, but when they reach those riches, that wealth, like, you have a lot of respect for them because it's an inspiring story. Like, you're able to jump from the bottom to the top. And what we have issue though is, like, let's say the child of the rich individual,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have that much respect for them, precisely for the fact that they were born into wealth. So sure, they can attain respect in other ways, such as joining the military. I know there's one guy, I can't recall his name, became a Navy SEAL, and he was born in a very wealthy family. Or you can do other sort of things. But if you're that privileged child that relied primarily on the parents' wealth, and then you're out here showboating to the world how you quote unquote earned it, it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth, I would say.
Yeah. In your personal experience, whether it be dating or professionally, is there tell us a horror story? You were talking about the tears, and you were talking about the hardships and the sleepless nights. Like, what is talk about a little bit of your pain. Like, tell us about a moment that forged you.
I have various moments. Some things I don't want to disclose because I can tell you after the call if you like. Like, there's one I had like a pretty bad injury,
Mm-hmm.
but that happened from wrestling practice. But I would rather not discuss it. It was that definitely forced me. Other injury. Let me see. I'm trying to think.
Have you ever been spread eagled in wrestling?
Spread eagled. Oh, you mean like spread out like this, or?
Yeah, like I did wrestling from from 7th to 9th grade, and
Right.
I just remember, like, I was like, because like when I was that age, I was I was not very tall, I was not super heavy, so actually, like, the very best wrestlers are built like me, so we would pair up with our size equivalents, and just like one of the best wrestlers on the team, like, treated me like a rag doll, and he got behind me, and then he got his legs out, like, wrapped around my thighs, and then just like spread my legs. It was like the most painful experience like ever, dude. I hate that dude for it. I'm not gonna say his name, but, like, fuck him. I hope he's working in an Arby's right now, dipping fries.
No, I feel you on that one. I've had several that, especially in jiu-jitsu and wrestling. In fact, my first day in jiu-jitsu, they paired me up with a D1 wrestler. That was my first opponent ever. My first opponent in jiu-jitsu was a D1 wrestler, and I was getting my ass kicked left and right. We started off standing. Most jiu-jitsu, they don't even let you start standing. We're starting standing because I cannot hurt the wrestler's ego. So how I survived that, I don't know. I was young. Thankfully, I think I was like 18. So I was just like, I can deal with the pain. But it was just like, oh my gosh, that was brutal. And there will be some guys that will come in, and this was when I first started. And there was one guy, 6'5", part of the Pi Kappa Alpha Pike fraternity, and he was 6'5", obviously never fought, but he obviously has a build that he's played other sports, like, let's say, rugby or football.
Mm-hmm.
And he would come in and literally, like, no wrestling experience, but he would just throw me around and just, like, try to go in for a guillotine choke and try to crank my neck. Thankfully, I was strong enough to, like, resist, hold off, and put pressure and bounce back. But man, that was Man, the schools I trained in, it was like the schools of hard knocks. They would just throw you in with whatever. My boxing coach is just like, man, we're doing 30-minute rounds. I'm going to pair you up with that guy 6'4". Let's see how you do. Got my first concussion. I fought for like 30 straight minutes. My face was all bloody, blood everywhere. But that was one of my proudest moments. My coach looked at me. He's like, damn, cuz, you got a dog in you. And that made me so happy. But the next day I wake up and I'm like, fuck, my head hurts. I go watch TV and I see all the characters kind of like breaking out from the screen. I'm like, what's going on? I pull out the book, the Tao Jeet Kune Do, which I have over here. The Tao Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee. I open up the pages of the book and I shit you not. I open up one page over here and all the words are literally flying out of the page. It's just like, what's going on here? I've never experienced this before. That's when I knew I had to go to the hospital. I'm like, yeah, you have a concussion. And
what was it?
That was not fun.
Was it from a punch, or?
Dude, I sparred for 30 minutes against a guy that was 6'4".
So it was many punches. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm 5'7", fighting a guy twice my size, and we're fighting for 30 straight minutes. And guys that are bigger, like, listen, it doesn't matter how technical you are. If you're a smaller guy, the bigger guy's gonna have the advantage.
Yeah.
The guy may not even know that much technique. If he's bigger, like 9 times out of 10, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Unless you really know what to do, and even then, you're taking a risk. So.
And what did you say? Are you 5'7"?
You're 5'7", 5'8".
Yeah, dude. I've noticed all of us men of action. Not every single one of us, but like 90% of us are like the exact same build. Like we're just like 5'7", 5'8". Guys. Like most of us are not like morbidly obese. We're like in good shape, but we're vertically challenged like that.
Like the way I go about this, like I'm Tom Cruise height. That's that way I'm a superstar.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other thing is that, and then I can understand why they're in MOA. It's because girls often overlook because it's you're taking an attribute that's height that you can't control. But believe it or not, a lot of the best fighters in the world are under 6 feet.
Yep. Maybe
even 5'10". Conor McGregor, he's 5'9".
Yeah.
Habib, he's 5'10". A lot of the special forces in the military. Yep. So.
Yeah. That was like a problem for David Goggins. David Goggins was built like a defensive end or an outside linebacker in football, and it was. He had more weight on his longer limbs. It's a lot more difficult actually to like leverage those that kind of a build in combat.
Exactly. So believe it or not, like I get pretty positive reactions from girls that are above 6 feet. Believe it or not, you just have to be confident to approach them.
I've noticed that too. Like I have this like specific like avenue with with these 6 foot light skinned light skinned black girls with like afros that have like athletic bodies. I call them like Amazonians. They remind me of like Wonder Womans and stuff like that, and they like me. I don't know why.
You have that allure. You're funny. That's why they latch on. It's like, oh my god, you're so funny.
So I'm gonna go to a commercial break real quick. Speaking of funny, let's talk about what is not funny. All right, what's not funny is when you have this beautiful 6 foot black girl with afro puffs and she's feeling you, and then it comes time to get down to business and you can't perform. Guys, we got to talk about a pressing issue here. We know that as men, it's our duty to perform. It's not just a dubious luxury. You need to perform, whether it's at the trading desk, on the gridiron, in the jiu-jitsu octagon, or I don't know what shape that arena is, but let's just say in the MMA octagon, the hardwood court, or the illustrious bedroom. You got to perform. There's no description that does justice to the confidence boost that you'll receive when you rock her socks. So how are you going to do it? With a little limp strand of bubble gum? Do you want to be the safe option in her mind? Do you want her to settle down with you after she's had her fun in the big leagues? No, you don't. So why are you going to battle in the bedroom with groggy privates? The only blue pill we endorse at the Good Faith Podcast is It's Mr. Nasty Time blue pills. And yes, we're talking about those little pills that make you run, Forrest, run. Get the enthusiasm that Jenny has for that gang of Black Panthers and Wall Street stockbrokers, not the tepid tolerance she has for Forrest. Forget about overpriced Hims, Romans, and Blue Chews. It's Mr. Nasty Time as the real deal at an amazing price that won't let you down.
At LT9R said, "Hi Chris."
Hey, I'll check who that was in a second. I'm in the middle of an ad. And I know what you're probably thinking. What if she cancels on me and I'm all bricked up all night long? I've tried these. They're a lot more mellow than you'd expect. You can have one at the beginning of the night. It's not going to give away your position. Or, due to the quick acting effect, just go to the bathroom, pop one or two in, and be fully equipped to perform. Just like all the expensive name brands, Mr. Nasty delivers his products in discreet packaging, but for a fraction of the outrageous cost that the competitors do. Around here at the GFP, we're about leveling up, and why not level up your sex life and check out It's Mr. Nasty Time to get your mojo back. Scan the QR code on the screen or hit the link in the description and guarantee yourself unrivaled pleasure. When her dual mating strategy has her playing picky-choosy between the bad boy and the little nice guy, you know exactly who to call. It's Mr. Nasty Time. And we are back. I just want to see who that was. Oh, hi, Mom. All right, so we're talking about fighting, talking about MMA. Do you think that America's the greatest nation in the world?
In MMA or just in general?
No, just in general.
Well, I mean, that's my bias here. I was born and raised here. I'm Hispanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have only gone to Latin America, which is my country of origin, once, and that was almost 18 years ago. And I did that precisely because I'm like, I want to show that I love this country so much that I'd rather stay here and, promote and essentially just assimilate to it and have faith in it. By eating the custom, even sometimes my family make fun of me, like, what's your favorite food? Like some of the taste tests, because Hispanics, they love the taste of flan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like flan.
Yeah.
But you give me pumpkin pie, I love that. Like, I would eat it up. But you give a pumpkin pie to someone that was born and raised, like, let's say Colombia or Venezuela, and they would peep that thing out. They can't handle it. And it's like that. It's just my thing. Like, this is the country that raised me. I was born and raised here. I learned the culture. I love the culture. And, and that's what I mean when we were talking about earlier. It's just like, you're here, and I know that I'm technically a guest in this nation, despite being born here. If you're being raised here, then this is like, you have to commit to it. Like, this is your country, and assimilate and become part of it, and let it identify you as yourself as an American by committing to it and prescribing to the belief systems that makes this country great. And that's the way I see it. But do I like Latina mommies? For sure.
Do you think that marriage in the West is in deep trouble?
For now, it's a concern. It's definitely a concern. Like we were discussing earlier, families is the bedrock of society. Mm-hmm. This great society that we have, the United States or other great nations, first world countries such as that are in Europe or East Asia, the bedrock that creates that foundation is the family unit. And then once you extrapolate beyond the family unit, you have an overall cohesive society which sets along itself customs and rules. And when you destroy the fabric of marriage, you destroy the family unit. Then comes society itself. And the greatest example, at least from a historical perspective, is Rome. And just marriage is a very important foundation to society. But at the same time, we have to be pragmatic and practical. Most men, and I agree, would advise against marriage, especially nowadays, for the fact that you can be financially taken advantage of, for whether it's through divorce courts, paternity testing, all this other stuff, and it's become one of the greatest issues of our time. And if there's this much struggle or hardship just to get married, then why be married in the first place? So this shouldn't be even considered a controversy because it's a very real thing. I think more and more men are becoming less interested in marriage. And even though as a Catholic, I do believe in the state of marriage and how it helps prolong society as a whole, the pragmatic response is, if you don't want to get married, I can't blame you, because the truth is, why take such a risk when you can partner up with someone that maybe when you first met them is very kind, but then as time goes on, they have more malevolent intent and they intend to extract you of all your wealth, and that's not a pretty spot to be in.
So do you believe firmly in like mitigating risk through like a prenup and even possibly a postnup?
Of course, 100%.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, I think for maybe for as little as one night, maybe as long as a couple of months, it's going to be awkward. But I think having a very awkward couple of nights is worth, like I said, like is worth protecting a lifetime of matrimony. And I'm gonna, if I do meet that like special someone, I'm going to, before I ever even like pop the question and buy a ring, I'm going to make sure that like a prenup is signed, because I just don't want to leave myself exposed to all that.
Yeah, of course, and it's just one of the precautions you have to take before getting into any form of marital commitment with anyone. So it's just a pragmatic choice, no hatred. But if I were to add on a caveat, if you're just that guy that every woman loves, she wouldn't even care. She would just say, "Oh yeah, for sure, I understand. Like I love you because I want to be with you."
Yeah.
And whatever, So in that case, you have to keep her. So
yeah,
no need to worry.
So, are you okay if I put you through the gauntlet of the delusion calculator?
Sure.
All right, let's see how delusional you are. So, do you want a man or a woman?
Woman.
Does she want kids? Yes, no, or either?
Yes.
What age range are you insisting that she be in between?
21 to 25.
Okay, 21 to 25. Can we talk about, so I don't even disagree with that at all. What is the reason for your cutoff being at 25?
Be very, very careful. It's true, especially in the modern context, the era that we live in, and I think this is the experience of every man. So I'm like 29 years old. A lot of the girls in your peer group that you grew up with, remember, women, they age quicker than men. Not in that sense. I mean, they mature quicker than men.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So by the time they turn 18, they have a whole world to go through. They have all these different opportunities in contrast to how you and I were when we're 18. We're worth nothing.
Sorry.
The space.
Okay.
Fuck off. All right. Sorry. Keep going. Yeah. They have the whole world available at them immediately upon reaching adulthood, and you were saying.
And so they have their prime years, which is primarily between that age that I described. But then as they get older, they start to they start to change their objectives. Now they're more family oriented. They want to get married. But the issue that you're taking, the risk that you're taking, is the fact that they may have had more experience than you had, and how does that carry on later in life? That can create more issues. They say, hey, you know, they start to compare you with their prior partners, et cetera, and you know, and I'm not saying this is all cases. Is if you find that one girl, you know, same age peer group, then kudos to you, and I'm sure there are. There are plenty of beautiful ladies out there that are going, you know, this to say, hey, boom, you know, we're the same age, but like I still believe in these values. I've kept myself, you know. I was like, okay, cool. But in a general sense, the 21 to 25-year-olds, they're gonna have more. Again, it's not easy either because the primary thing, the issue is social media, because they're so enamored by it. They already have this world or plethora of opportunities. However, they're not going to be as aggressive with their intentions as someone your age would be, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it reminds me of we were watching. I was watching Will Chu on Instagram, and he was doing a man on the street interview to a girl who sounds very similar to what you're describing. Like she was going into rather vivid detail that I would not want my wife to be disclosing to the internet, but about how she married a virgin, and they met when they were 13. So like they were, and she had him in the friend zone for their entire life. You know, I think at the time they were about like 31 or something like that. So for like 8 years, she had him in the friend zone, and she was just talking about how she needed to learn through firsthand experience, by making all the mistakes with the assholes and all this while he was just waiting in the wings. And eventually she, you know, no matter how, I'm not sure how many, you know, how many broken headboards it took for her to learn her lesson, but she eventually did learn that he was a good guy, and she settled down with him. And that's like, I think to most men, they would consider that like a massive L, you know, but yeah,
because you're under the constant pressure and the constant fear of being compared to someone else who may have been more superior to you based on her eyes. And you know, why compete with that? Why go through, you worked hard throughout your entire life, why put yourself under that type of stress? And again, you know, this is just what's observed generally in average, but it's just what you see in general. It's the average. But
yeah,
you know, it's why put yourself under that pressure when you say, listen, there are other ladies out there who don't have that, they don't carry that same burden, and we connect, and we have a lot in common. And I'm still able to attain that same level of respect, that same level of love from her. And in exchange, I'm able to provide the lifestyle. I can protect her. I can ensure that she's safe with me at all times. In contrast with being with someone that's very combative, because you're constantly being compared to her last partner.
Yeah.
And exactly.
All right, so we're cutting it off at 25, and I honestly I like it. I'm about what? I'm about 5 years, right? I'm 5 years older than you, but I still, and if I had my pick, between all other things being equal, a 25-year-old girl and a 30-year-old girl, like it's no comparison. And and what you said is very true. There's the the implication that she's gonna have much less baggage, much less experience. my thing is like getting back to that biological clock thing. Like I would like to have the time and the freedom to have as many children as we could possibly have, you know, and I don't want to be I don't want to be in like the 2-minute drill with my wife, and you know, all of a sudden we find out that, you know, most of her eggs have, you know, already been expelled. You know, I think they say that by age like 30 or 35, like 90% of a woman's eggs have already you know, like come and gone. So I want all the eggs I can possibly get.
Progeny. It's important to have children.
Yeah.
You want to carry on your legacy.
So what height range do you have?
You know, like shorter. Most guys like shorter girls. I mean, I wouldn't mind if she's taller than me, like 5'10". Nothing too crazy, 5'11", 6 feet. But preferably, you know, around the 5'2" to 5'5" range is fine.
All right. Do you want to go 5 foot flat, or do you want to go 5'2" to 5'11"?
Well, yeah, let's do that.
5'2" to 5'11"?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what income must she have in order for you to consider her?
To commit to her?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if she's like 40, 50. Like it's not so much the salary. It's more of, can I maintain a coherent conversation with her?
That's what. Yeah. I had Mark on my show, and he said like something very similar, because he's I don't know what he does. He's some type of surgeon. Like he's like got a very prestigious job. So he was saying that he wants a girl who's at least able to like be intellectually stimulating to him, and you know, he was using income as a way to filter for that.
I agree. I think like I think income is more of a masculine trait. Not a masculine trait, but it's more associated with guys like us.
Mm-hmm.
I think the better aspect is, and I think they've done studies on this where the more successful couples typically come from the same socioeconomic status.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think it's preferred that you make more than her, because that way there's that level of respect.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I would say maybe like 50, 60,000 is fine. It's
Right.
cool. It's just more the coherent. Can we have an intellectual conversation together? Can we enjoy ourselves instead of just talking about useless garbage per se?
All right, so we'll say 50,000. Ethnicity, do you have any preference on ethnicity, or do we want to say any?
I've only dated white, Asian, Latina, so.
Well, you're missing out if you ever contract a little bit of ebony fever. It's not gonna do you any bad.
Let's put any.
All right. I've never been with a Middle Eastern. That's on my fuck it list for sure. Hair color? Do we want to go any?
I mean, we're not talking about like the highlights, you know, the liberal kind of, not that.
Yeah, so just no blue-haired, septum-pierced liberals. Yeah. That's what everyone says, and it doesn't list that on here. So we'll say any. Eye color? Do you want to go any?
Sure.
Minimum education she must have. Bachelor's. Religion.
Catholic.
Okay.
If it says Christian, it's
fine. Smoker, yes, no, or either.
What does it mean by smoker?
It doesn't specify, so let's just say.
Smoke?
Yeah, let's say smoke cigarettes and weed. Are either of them a deal breaker for you?
Yeah, because smoking does actually affect me. It kind of bothers. It's nothing too serious, but like I prefer not.
Okay. All right. Let's say no. What about drinker? Yes, no, or either?
I mean, it's fine so long as she doesn't abuse it. So
Okay. So we'll say either then. And exclude married women, or do you want to wreck a home?
exclude.
Okay. And exclude obese women, or do you want to be a what's the word they call them? I don't know. You know, like those guys that are attracted to obese women. I don't even know what I call them, but are you?
I forgot the term too, but no, exclude.
Okay. All right. So you have Jesus Christ. You have a 0.46% chance of finding that woman in America. That's only 774,000 women of the 168 million that we have here in America. Now, you could obviously go overseas and you could expand that number pretty significantly. I think there are a ton of criteria that they don't even mention on this calculator. They don't mention whether she has children, which to me is like an immediate deal breaker. I think it's like the number one deal breaker. I would not. I refuse to be a stepdad. I'm trying to think of any other deal breakers that they might have left off. They don't include debt, which I think if a woman were to be in, like, let's say, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of debt, that would like strongly sway me away from like marrying her. I don't know how you feel about that.
That's a financial risk.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, those two things, and it doesn't include a woman's past sexual partners. You know, like I'm sure just about every guy has some number where they, you know, if it were to become known, they would be like completely not interested in you know, like marrying a woman if she had, like, I don't know, let's say, what's that number for you where you draw a line where a woman is no longer considerable for marriage?
Well, you can never tell.
Yeah.
The level of experience, but not you can never tell. You can never tell the exact number. But there will be indicators based on her level of stimuli, how she responds to it. If he's constantly like 80, not 80, but like her attention span is very small. She jumps in from one topic to the next. The way that her eye opens up, the Bambi eyes, to just anybody, doesn't reserve herself. It becomes like, those are really good silent psychological indicators where you're able to figure out, like, oh, okay, this is someone that has plenty of experience and may not necessarily be good or compatible for long term. You know, you can still be friends, have fun, it's cool, it's fine. You don't have to disrespect them or be mean, but if you're being realistic if you're looking for a long term relationship, it's just not gonna row the boat.
Yeah. Like there are very extensive studies that say, you know, with every dozen sexual partners that a woman has, her statistical percentage of staying in a long-term marriage and not, you know, like not running for the door goes down like significantly. Like I think by the time a woman has more than 20 or 30 partners, her chance of even being married at all goes to, you know, basically zero, you know, and that's like really unfortunate. I wish that these studies were like put on billboards and like hung from the rafters of every like establishment so women could really understand the ramifications that come with like having like a really promiscuous lifestyle, because, you know, and when they're in their 20s, they don't it doesn't matter. They're enjoying their, you know, time in the sun and everything's amazing, everything's wonderful. But by the time they hit 50 and they're single, they don't have any children, then they start to find any psychiatrist who will prescribe them Prozac, and they're the number one most prescribed demographic to psychotropic and antidepressant meds.
Of course, that's completely accurate. And I think the biggest concern is not just them, but it's primarily the children, especially who grew up with single mothers, especially young boys who don't have that masculine figure in their life.
Mm-hmm.
They grow up confused and having this negative perception of men based on the biases of their mother, and it kind of affects them long term. Or in a more serious note, if they discover that, let's say, this mother has had this large experience or has even exposed it publicly on the web, that can cause damaging ramifications for even this kid. He can get bullied in school, low self-esteem, and very, very much cause long-term damage that the mother may not even be aware of. And that's, the truth is like a lot of these decisions that they're making is inherently selfish, because they're not seeing how it can affect in the long term. Because the whole purpose of marriage and all this stuff is not just based off of love or anything. Love it's a Disney. The truth is to make sure that the next generation, the children, are given a healthy lifestyle so that they can themselves grow up to live a normal functioning life. And the issue that we're seeing right now is because we're so dependent on the self, and our quote unquote independence is causing long-term ramifications that we're just starting to see now, but is sure to grow exponentially as the decades roll on by.
Yeah, like motherhood, and say that I'm ripping a page out of the 1940s all you want, but motherhood is a woman's ability to be that monk or whatever they were that assembled Mont Saint Michel. It's their opportunity to build something that's going to exist long after their time on this earth is done. And yeah, like so many modern women are foregoing that opportunity, and so they can get their cheeks beat by some Alpha Kappa Phi frat dude, it's such a short-term mating strategy, and it leads to just long-term dissatisfaction, and that's a problem. Uh-oh. Oh, shit. I think I lost you. Hold up a sec. Uh-oh. You're frozen here. Oh, fuck. Can you hear me? There you go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I can see you.
All right, you froze for a sec.
It's all good. Yeah, so as we were saying, yeah, it's just I think before, talking about this used to be very taboo. Now it's important because this is dealing directly with the future of the country. How are you going to maintain a future if you're not able to procreate individuals that can help sustain the culture, just the society, the maintenance, all this stuff? Like, you need to have some sort of guardrails or something. I don't want to get too deep into it. It's fine, but it's it's a genuine concern. Or when you grow old, you don't think long term enough to say, hey, when I grow old, I want someone to take care of me.
Yeah.
If I'm alone, it's just a pretty frightening experience. Like, what happens if I fall and slip? I'm 67 years old. I fall and slip, I break a hip bone, and I can't move. Who am I going to call?
Yeah. So speaking a little bit about women still, and I found this to be a very interesting statistic. So, and here's what I took from this. So 94% of women in highly ranked executive positions have played sports in their life, whether it be intramural, high school, college. 52% of female executives played sports at a university level, and I've had experience with like corporate recruiters. I've even done my fair share of corporate recruiters in sales positions, and basically all across the corporate ladder, they like people who have a background in sports because they are, they respect authority. They know how to play as a team player and not to just have this like solipsistic viewpoint. So, do you think that biological males infiltrating female sports is like a problem?
Well, I mean, the obvious answer is yeah. I mean, you see all these girls getting hurt from these guys. It's for sure it's a problem, but legislation just writing itself saying they accept it. So it's like, what else can you do? It's like you're trying to stop it, but it's just like they keep allowing it. So it's kind of like, I think it's up to the girls to like actually convene and come together and say, okay, I think we need to stop this. Like I think the guys have tried enough to a point where it's just like, okay, now it's on us to actually put in the effort ourselves to at least maintain equilibrium once more. Because right now it's lopsided. It's 110% here and 0 to negative over on the other side. So it's quite a powerful imbalance. And so just to sum it up, yeah, I don't think it's right. I don't think these girls should be getting hurt by just a bunch of guys who decide to become the other gender the next day and just start to dominate them. I think it's wrong. But
yeah, and I mean, like if we're tracing it back to this study, and if every single, I guess it's not every single one, but a lot of the times you hear about a biological male will, go onto the volleyball team or in the boxing ring or whatever it might be, the cheerleading squad or anything like that. And what inevitably occurs is they inhabit the space of a woman who would be there but chooses not to because they cannot compete. They're biologically disadvantaged in athleticism, and so they're forcing those women out of those spaces. And there's a direct correlation right here with women who are involved in sports, especially at a collegiate level, and having high-paying jobs. So, like, you can make the case, I think, rather articulately, that transgenders going into college athletics are actually increasing the wage gap for women.
That's funny. In a corporate setting, yes, sports does differentiate you. Leadership skills, and especially in the statistics for men, a lot of the corporate executives are athletes. Mm-hmm. And if you go even further, the best ones serve in the military, or they have both experience, athletic experience and military experience, and they lead the hierarchy in a lot of corporate venues. So yes, athletics is very important.
Do you know your Myers-Briggs thing?
Yeah.
What are you?
I took that years ago. How about you go first? What's yours?
I'm an INFP.
INFP?
Yeah.
All right. INFJ.
Okay. So I think we're very similar, right? Except for my dominant function is extroverted intuition, and yours is, I'm not sure what yours is. Yours.
If I recall, I've been taking this test in 13 years, but it was introverted intuition, feeling, judging. So that's INFJ.
Okay, so you have better self-awareness of yourself and better. What did you say your extroverted was?
Oh no, introverted.
Yeah.
INFJ.
Yeah. So I am better at intuiting my external environment. You are better at intuiting your internal emotions and stuff like that. Because it always makes me think, because during my time as a corporate recruiter and in my time in the in the corporate world, which was very short-lived. They did this. They did the Myers-Briggs test, and they kind of like categorized us based on our Myers-Briggs psychology. And so like people like me who are INFPs did not have we were looked at as not strong leaders, and whereas like the I don't know, I think ESTJ I think is like a good strong leader psychology. So all those people were in the like executive roles.
Right, but at the same time, I don't usually like to prescribe with those Myers-Briggs.
Yeah,
You can still get those leadership roles if you apply yourself. If you really push yourself, and you really just have to compete, and you're out there and you're just pushing,
Yeah.
working hard, working relentless. Like I just told you earlier, 12 to 13 hours a day working, and then afterwards I would spend the weekends just going out networking, meeting people in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and just networking. So just grinding. So it's just like constant overload, constant pressure, and just work. And by other additional skills and assets that you can improve in leadership is your voice inflection, how you communicate, how you speak to other people, and that right there can help differentiate you and make you appear larger than life than what you initially have been perceived otherwise.
Yeah. And I think at its core, it's kind of like hokum categorization akin to like even astrology. I'm an INFP the same way that I'm a Cancer. It really doesn't mean anything. What really means something is the choices that you choose to make and your behavior and what skills you choose to work on. Like I even came into Men of Action, and I would always like lean on the psychological crutch saying I'm an introvert. Like the truth is that I've chosen to be introverted for most of my life, and now I am choosing to be outgoing and extroverted.
Exactly, and that's the only way you can do it. That's how you're able to attain success and push forward. You just have to choose and take action and move forward from there. And you have a strong network of friends and brothers that can just help you out and push you forward. And that's what counts. I think that's what's a big missing piece, especially with the loneliness epidemic of men, is like we don't have those connections or networks anymore. We're often isolated. But when you do have those networks, you're able to succeed and accomplish far more than what you can imagine.
Yeah, well said. So I'm gonna do one last advertisement. Then we are going to wrap it up.
Sounds good.
So, guys and gals, I don't think it is any mystery that I take my physique very seriously. I work out like every day, and I think you guys should too. I think fitness, health is the ultimate wealth. I'm buckling down even more than I ever had before. I cut out like breaded chicken. I used to love eating ice cream. I don't eat ice cream anymore. It's not good for me. I cut out soda. I used to love drinking like a nice little root beer or like a Coca-Cola. I'm getting into meal prepping, nothing but chicken and rice, working muscles in my body I never prioritized before, doing like a balanced workout. So if I do like a push exercise, I'm doing a pull exercise, cardio, just getting, making sure that my skeleton, my muscles, my nerves, everything is working as good as it can. And there's always room to improve, but I really am improving my fitness. I used to just eat.
At Greg Robert C1F said, "Nice shades."
Thank you. I used to just eat whatever I wanted, and I would try to outwork a poor diet. Guys, that is a recipe for disaster. You cannot do that. There are still times when I have to force myself to eat. I'm probably going to force myself to eat when I get out of here because I don't have any Holler Boys on hand. Here's the remedy, guys. It's Holler Boys beef jerky. They pack 10 grams of lean protein into a fantastic package, and the flavors are out of this world. They got peach bourbon, honey habanero, southern barbecue, Chesapeake, Fuego, or the tried and true original. My personal favorites are the peach and the habanero, but we all know I'm a little bit zesty. What's even better about Holler Boys is they're nice and local and tax-friendly. Middletown, Delaware. They're founded by a father-son duo. They just started tinkering with their backyard smoker, and through trial and failure have come to present some of the boldest and most memorable flavors that I can recall. Forget Slim Jim or Jack Links or Deets Nuts. Holler Boy Snacks packs a great nutritional value in a filling serving size for an affordable price to stretch your dollar with flavor for days that'll make you holler. Their mission statement rings true to the Good Faith podcast that life may throw you around, but you can never give up. How true. Scan the QR code on the screen and find their link in the description to tap into the best beef jerky on the market. HollerBoysJerky.com. That's holler with an A. Holler Boys Jerky, the only good jerk. Where's my fucking holler? I used to have a soundbite. I do have a soundbite for this, but I reconfigured my soundboard, and now I don't know where my holler sound is. Shit, scuffed. All right. Well, there goes that. But guys, seriously, check out Holler Boys Beef Jerky. I think I'm gonna re-up sometime close to the holidays and give it out as like a holiday present and stuff like that. So before we go, Chael, can you share your gratitude with a person before we leave?
Of gratitude with a person?
Yeah, like your gratitude for anyone. It could be anyone in the world that you want to share your gratitude for, since it is Thanksgiving.
No, I do a lot of gratitude for a lot of things. Thank you for having me on this podcast. Really grateful. I appreciate you taking the time to have me on. My friends, my family, my mom, my little brother, all these great people. But I guess if we were to have like a person that we have a mutual with, I would want to say, because we're in the same group, I would say I want to give my thanks to Casey. I don't know if he's pissed off at me or whatever, but he really did save my life per se. And I'll never forget what he's told me. It's just when I joined MOA, it was more I was low in doubt. I didn't believe myself, and I was coming out of like one of the darkest periods of my life, the lowest points of my life. And all he said to me was, "I think you have the ability to become something great, and in this, I think you can actually make it." And I took those words to heart. And as the months, and now it's been a year and a half of constant mentorship and professional development, leadership development, personal development, I really have to put my thanks to Casey, because he never gave up on me, and that mattered a lot to me. So thank you.
Yo,
and of course, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So
Casey's in Hong Kong right now, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
I wonder. I can't wait to see the pics that he brings back. Yeah, he's a great guy. And if you can be the angel on his shoulder, tell Casey that I want him to come on my podcast. I know he's got a very busy life, but I'd love to have him on as a guest. And I know he's got like a ton of stories that would be great content. So have say, "Yo, Casey, come on the Good Faith podcast."
For sure. I'll let you know if there's anyone else. I'd be more than happy to send over. But yeah, I'll definitely let Casey know.
So I got some homework assignments that I'd like to leave my guests with. Number one, I'm going to ask you to promote the ever-living fuck out of this episode so my channel can explode and grow organically. So whether it be Casey, your little brother, your cousin, your aunt, whoever, just be like, "Hey, I was on this podcast. You guys should check it out." And yeah, it could be in private. If you want to like suggest somebody for me to bring on, someone that I might not have thought of, like send them my way. I always love having new guests on my show.
Yeah, I think there's some guys here in South Florida. I think Jeremiah. Have you heard of him? Jeremiah Elevates.
No, I don't know him.
Yeah, he's definitely one to search. I could probably get in contact with Jake Basil. I know he's super busy, but he's definitely has an interesting story. He's a former United States Air Force officer.
Okay.
So he's definitely got some stories. Sal is another good one. So there's plenty of them. There's a big community down here in South Florida, so
All right.
plenty of people to interview.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with any of the names you just listed. I also want to have Tyler. Like, I think Tyler might be Miami or Palm Beach or something. He's somewhere.
Tyler Daniel?
Yeah. Yeah, he was like.
Yeah.
He was like the very first dude that ever like welcomed me in the program, and I initially had him on my calendar, but then he just got like a new job, so he was like, you know, really focused on a good first impression with his new job. So I understand that.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I understand. So yeah, he's also a really nice guy, really funny. Definitely interview him.
All right. And one last thing, the last segment, and so I call this segment 3 Truths. I ripped this out of Lewis Howes' playbook. So, if you were to live a long and a fruitful life, and I hope that you do, I hope that every...
At Greg Robert C1F said, "Go Padres."
yeah, go Padres. Yeah. You know what? Fuck the Phillies. The Phillies are such a disappointment. Go Padres. What do I care? I like Manny Machado. I like Fernando Tatis, and those are like the only 2 Padres I know. But all right, so Chael, you're to live a long and fruitful life, and I hope that you do. I hope you live to whatever age that you wish to, and every single one of your life's goals is completed. You know, you check off every box. And when you pass away, you're surrounded by a loving family.
At
and
Ryan Millen 984 said, "Trader Asphalt."
No, like I'm just disappointed. I'm low on the Phillies. Right. What? Yo, you're gonna chime in now at 9:15. I've been doing this podcast for 2 hours now. Where were you the whole time? I see you. All right, but so when you pass away, you go. You feel no pain. You're surrounded by your loving family. But when you go, all your life's work goes with you. So every Instagram picture you ever took, every post that you ever made in a Reddit forum, every word that you ever typed into a college essay, like literally all proof that you ever existed goes in the grave with you. But you're able to leave behind 3 truths. What are your 3 truths that you wish to that are going to be your what's that castle called? Like your Mount
Saint Michel.
Yeah, what are the 3 pillars that are your Mount Saint Michel?
Discipline, endurance, and the ability to keep on going. Never giving up, no matter what you throw at me. I've always been that person that's been so persistent that I would push to the very end, even try and take up a new skill, get into a fight, learn something new with your hands, everything. And that's what counts, just the absolute resilience to get everything and anything I've ever dreamed of and wanted. And I was willing to humble myself and lower the ego in order to achieve it. And that's what counts.
That's right. Yeah, tough times don't last. Tough people do, and good times don't last. You know, like everything in life is temporary. So, you know, if you're going through a struggle and suffering, just keep in mind that this too shall pass.
Agreed, 100%. That's how it goes, bro.
Yeah. All right, well, I want to extend my gratitude with you, Chael. I hope that your Thanksgiving is great. By the way, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
I like the turkey, the mac and cheese, and the pumpkin pie.
Ooh, okay. All right. I'm a savory I have a savory taste, so I like mashed potatoes and stuffing. Yeah, those are my two favorites. But the turkey's good. It's also good. It's a great holiday. It's my second favorite holiday. I love eating up a storm and then taking a nap while the Cowboys lose on national TV. So,
oh man, that's the national. What do you call the national custom every year?
Yeah.
See the Cowboys get their ass kicked.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoy that. I'm gonna say goodbye to you. But once again, thank you for coming on. You were a great host, and I wish you all the best luck. I hope all your resolutions are fulfilled in the new year.
The guest, you're the host, bro. But thank you so much. I really appreciate being in this podcast. It's so a lot of fun.
All right, dude. Well, you have a good night, and I'm gonna go here, and let me bring up my script, guys. We're gonna wrap it up. Once again, we want to humbly thank our listeners and pay them ample gratitude for their patronage. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to have such a high-quality interactive show. So thank you, audience.
Thank you for making this that much sweeter.
I'd like to take this time to remind all of our listeners that we are spreading like a virus. The Good Faith Podcast is now on YouTube, as well as Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, RSS.com, which, by the way, RSS.com was giving me some trouble with uploading the video. I just uploaded it before this episode, so hopefully that's, in the rearview mirror. But if it continues to be a persistent issue, I'm going to switch my RSS provider. So you're on thinIceRSS.com. Amazon Music, Samsung Podcast, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, Patreon. On Patreon, we're working to build additional value for the multiple tiers.
Mom Z3BL said, "Hi, Rye."
Who is that? Oh, hi, Mom. Hey, hold up. You guys have a 2-hour block. You can do all this talking. You do it during my outro. The nerve of you. Now you're getting me all mixed up. On Patreon, we're working to build additional value for the multiple tiers of donors with special content, super chat priority, VIP in-person meetings. We do value your attention, so thank you for quieting your TikTok brain for the last 2.5 hours. Let me get some money. I need money in my Patreon. All this stuff is not cheap. It's not like I pay money for this studio. You guys subscribe to the Patreon.
Money, please.
Oh, no, there's no money.
Oh, my bad. No problem.
I ain't trying to screw you. You ain't give me no money. What am I getting out of this? Nothing. So why do I have to lie?
This is a reminder, if you feel free, if you feel you got any value from our show, it takes basically 0 extra work to like and subscribe. Man, if y'all don't like and subscribe, we gonna shut this shit down, man. It'll move us closer to our goal of having thousands of subscribers, which will bump us up in the algorithm, expose us to more potential listeners. If you guys want to share us with more of your friends, we would be absolutely delighted to extend our outreach. The quickest way for us to broaden our exposure is for you listeners to each share us with one friend. We appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. If you live in the greater Philadelphia area, you want to come on to my show, reach out to me in an Instagram DM at Christopher Bulick. The Patreon link is in the description. All proceeds will go towards rent, food, electricity, new computer equipment to improve the general show quality, and Clark's medical expenses. My cat Clark is an epileptic. If he doesn't take phenobarbital 2 times a day, he will seize up and perish. And if that happens, his blood is on your hands.
I ain't trying to screw you. You ain't give me no money. What am I getting out of this? Nothing.
At Mom Z3BL said, "And if your dreams don't scare you enough, you aren't dreaming big enough." At Greg Roberts C1F said, "Deviled eggs."
Deviled eggs for Thanksgiving? What? No. Guys, seriously, make sure you all thumbs up this shit. Like, if you can't give me no money, then the least you could do is do a thumbs up. It's helpful. To all of the faithful audience, we wish you a wonderful weekend, a happy and healthy lifestyle. To all of you, we bid you goodbye.